Let me tell you something. The most powerful person in any room isn't always the loudest, or the richest, or even the one with the biggest title. No, it's the one who knows how to be fully present, not just physically there, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually locked in. That person walks in and doesn't have to announce themselves. Their presence speaks for them. See, we live in a world right now where people are addicted to distraction, always looking down at their phones, scrolling, texting, checking out, trying to be in 5 places at once, and never really showing up anywhere. But when you learn how to master your presence, I'm talking about that still, focused, intentional energy, you become rare. And let me tell you something about rare things. They're valuable. People feel it. People recognize it. They're drawn to it. You walk into a room and your energy tells people, I see you. Not just with your eyes, I'm talking about with your spirit. You lean in when someone talks to you. You're not thinking about what you're gonna say next. You're not trying to impress them. You're actually with them. You're locked in. And when you can give someone that kind of attention, that kind of focus, you instantly become more attractive, more influential, more unforgettable. Let me break it down for you. Have you ever talked to someone who made you feel like you were the only person in the world in that moment? Come on, you know what I'm talking about. Someone who listened without interrupting, looked you in the eye without looking past you, nodded not just to respond but to understand. That's presence. That's power. That's what sets people apart. But it doesn't happen by accident. You don't just stumble into presence, you train for it. You discipline yourself to slow down, to turn off the noise, to stop worrying about how you look and start focusing on how you show up. It takes practice, it takes awareness, it takes commitment, because presence is about respect. It says you matter, and when people feel like they matter, they open up, they listen, they trust. See, some of y'all trying to win people with your image. You want the perfect look, the perfect words, the perfect timing, but you're missing the one thing that actually connects: your attention, your undivided, unfiltered, unhurried attention. When you show up with presence, you don't have to perform. You don't have to be the smartest or the funniest or the best dressed. You just have to be there, be real, be engaged. That's it. And let me tell you, presence doesn't just make you socially attractive. It makes you a better leader, a better friend, a better human being. You know what's wild? People are starving for connection, and most of us are just giving crumbs. We're nodding while thinking about our to-do list. We're talking while checking our notifications. We're physically in the room, but mentally somewhere else. That's not presence, that's absence with a body attached to it. But when you flip that, when you walk into every room with intention, when you speak to people like they matter, when you listen like their words hold gold, everything shifts. Opportunities open up, relationships deepen, respect grows, because presence says something before you even speak. I care, I'm here, you have my full attention, and it ain't about being perfect. Some of y'all are waiting until you feel ready to be confident in a room. But presence isn't about perfection, it's about commitment. It's about deciding that no matter what happened before you walked in, no matter what's going on outside, you're going to show up fully for the people in front of you. Let me say that again. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be present. And when you master that, when you make presence your habit, you become unforgettable. You start standing out without even trying. Because people don't remember everything you said, but they never forget how you made them feel. So if you want to develop a habit that makes you socially attractive, don't start with charm. Don't start with wit. Don't start with charisma. Start with presence. Start with learning how to show up like the moment matters. Start by putting your phone down, lifting your eyes up, and giving people your full attention. That's how you make impact. That's how you build trust. That's how you leave a mark without even trying. Show up fully, because the world doesn't need more noise, it needs more presence. Let me keep it real with you. One of the most socially attractive habits you can ever develop is learning how to walk in confident humility. Yeah, you heard me. Confident humility. I'm not talking about fake modesty or that watered-down version of playing small so other people feel comfortable. I'm talking about that unshakable inner confidence that doesn't need to prove itself because it already knows who it is. See, the problem is, we've got a generation of people who think confidence means being loud, being flashy, being the center of attention. But real confidence, it's quiet. It doesn't need to be announced. It walks in the room and doesn't have to say a word, you can feel it. That's because it's rooted in identity, not ego. And at the same time, that confidence is balanced with humility. Because when you're secure, when you know your value, you don't have to remind everybody of it. You don't need to dominate conversations. You don't need to be right all the time. You don't need the spotlight because you are the light, and people can sense it. You want to become socially magnetic. You want to walk into spaces and leave people impacted, not just impressed. Then you've got to drop the mask of arrogance and put on the discipline of humility. That's the real flex. That's the real power. Let me break it down for you. Confidence is knowing you bring something to the table. Humility is knowing that other people do too. You're not threatened by someone else's greatness because you know your own lane. You're not insecure about someone else's success because you've learned how to clap for others while still running your race. And let me tell you something, that energy is rare. That balance of strength and softness. That's what people are drawn to. Nobody wants to be around someone who's constantly talking about themselves, trying to outshine everybody else in the room. That's not attractive. That's exhausting. But someone who can speak with boldness and listen with respect. That's someone people trust. That's someone people want to follow. See, confident humility looks like this. You walk into a meeting and yeah, you've got the skills, you've got the resume, you've got the experience. But instead of leading with your titles, you lead with questions. You're curious. You're open. You're not just there to talk, you're there to learn. And people feel that. They respect that. They lean into that. It's the same thing in friendships, relationships, networking, whatever space you're in. People remember how you made them feel, and the ones who carry both confidence and humility, they make you feel safe. They make you feel seen because their ego isn't crowding the room. Their presence leaves space for others to rise too. Now hear me, confidence without humility turns into arrogance, and humility without confidence turns into self-doubt. You need both. You've got to know who you are and be willing to learn from others. You've got to be able to say, I know my worth, and I don't have it all figured out. That's not weakness, that's strength. That's maturity. Most people don't know how to live in that tension. They either shrink to make others comfortable or they puff up to hide their insecurity. But the ones who attract real respect, real opportunities, real relationships, they've learned how to be comfortable in their own skin without needing to outshine or out-talk anybody else. Let me tell you, when you develop this habit, doors open. People trust you more. They open up to you. They remember you. Why? Because you weren't trying to compete with them. You weren't trying to prove anything. You were just being grounded, centered, confident, humble. And I know what some of y'all are thinking, but if I don't speak up, if I don't sell myself, if I don't show them who I am, won't I get overlooked? Listen to me. When you carry real confidence, it speaks without you having to sell it. When you walk in humility, people don't overlook you, they elevate you, because they can see your strength without you shouting about it. There's a certain type of person who walks into a room, listens more than they talk, observes before they react, and when they do speak, it's powerful. That person earns respect, not just attention, and there's a difference. Anybody can get attention, wear the right clothes, talk loud, drop some big words, but respect, that's earned through consistency, character, and composure. You want to be socially attractive, don't just impress people, inspire them. Show them it's possible to be strong and soft, bold and humble, confident and teachable. That's rare, that's beautiful, that's real. So today, stop trying to convince everybody you're enough and start walking like you already know you are. Not better than anyone, not less than anyone, just fully grounded in who you are and fully open to who you're becoming. Confidence is knowing you belong in the room. Humility is knowing everyone else does too. Let me break something down for you real quick. One of the most powerful things you can ever develop, one of the most socially attractive habits you will ever carry, is the ability to lead with empathy and kindness. Yeah, I know the world tells you to be tough, be hard, show no weakness. But listen to me, empathy isn't weakness. Kindness isn't soft. That's strength under control. That's real leadership. See, people think being strong means being unshakable, untouchable, cold, distant. But real strength is when you can walk through fire and still keep your heart open. When life knocks you down, when people do you dirty, when the world gets ugly, and you still choose to treat people with love, with patience, with respect, that's power. That's what separates the ones who last from the ones who just flash for a moment. And here's the truth: people don't remember you for what you had. They don't remember you for how many likes you got, how loud you spoke, or how cool you looked. They remember how you made them feel. They remember if you saw them when they felt invisible. They remember if you made space for them when everyone else walked past. That's what sticks. That's what builds legacy. That's what builds real influence. Empathy means you care enough to stop and feel what someone else is feeling. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be willing to lean in and say, "Yo, I see you. I may not understand everything, but I care enough to stand with you." You'd be amazed what that does for people. In a world where everyone's trying to be heard, just being someone who listens is like a magnet. You want to change the atmosphere in a room. You want to walk in and carry weight without saying a word. Be the one who's compassionate. Be the one who sees the janitor and the CEO the same. Be the one who doesn't laugh when someone stumbles but helps them back up. I'm telling you, people feel that. And it sticks longer than any speech you could ever give. Now don't get it twisted. I'm not saying let people walk all over you. I'm not saying be passive. I'm saying choose your heart posture. Kindness isn't about being soft, it's about being secure. It's about knowing who you are so deeply that you don't have to respond with pride or ego when someone else is in pain. You respond with patience, with compassion, with character. And that's where the game changes, because people are watching you, not just when you win, not just when you're celebrated, but when you're tested. They watch how you treat the ones who can't do anything for you. They watch how you speak about people behind their back. They watch how you handle moments when you could tear someone down, but you choose to build instead. That's where your character shows. That's where your impact lies. Let me tell you something I've seen. Some of the most successful people lose their influence, not because they lacked skill, not because they weren't talented, but because they lacked kindness. People got tired of being around someone who made them feel small. People left the room feeling drained instead of seen, and eventually that catches up. But the ones who lead with heart, the ones who check their pride at the door and show up with care, consistency, and love, those are the ones who leave a legacy that outlives them. I need you to understand kindness doesn't always look like a big gesture. Sometimes it's the simple stuff, sending that text, holding the door, smiling at someone who looks like they're barely holding it together, giving a compliment that costs you nothing, but gives somebody else the strength to keep going. That's real power. That's real social currency. And the more you invest in people like that, the richer your relationships become. But you've got to be intentional, because life will tempt you to harden up. People will hurt you. People will lie on you, betray you, leave you hanging. But your job isn't to match their energy. Your job is to elevate the space. You don't get to lead people if you can't love people. And loving people means showing up with empathy even when you're tired, being kind even when you don't get anything in return, choosing to forgive even when your pride wants to clap back. That's what real attractive energy looks like. Not surface-level charm, not forced smiles, but a consistent posture of grace, a steady hand when others are shaking, a heart that's open when others are closed. That's what makes people want to follow you, be around you, trust you. That's what makes your presence healing instead of heavy. So don't let the world tell you empathy is a liability. It's an asset. Don't let them tell you kindness is weakness, it's wisdom. And if you want to build something that lasts friendships, influence, impact, you start with how you treat people, especially when you don't have to. Be the person who chooses love, not because it's easy, but because it's right. Be the one who leads with heart, not for applause, but because you know that people are more important than platforms. That's the kind of strength that never fades. Lead with love, and the world will follow. Let's get real for a second. One of the most socially attractive things you will ever do in your life is be authentic. I'm not talking about the version of you that you dress up for social media. I'm not talking about the mask you wear to fit in at work, or the performance you put on just so people like you. I'm talking about the real you, the raw you, the unfiltered, unapologetic, authentic you. See, you've been taught to fit in. You've been conditioned to blend in, to play it safe, to follow the script. But let me ask you something. Who are you when no one's watching? Who are you when you're not trying to impress anybody, when you're not trying to win approval, when you're not trying to protect your image? That version of you, that's where your power is. Most people are living behind a mask. They spend so much time trying to be accepted, trying to be liked, trying to be what they think people want, and in the process, they lose themselves. But the truth is, people aren't attracted to perfection. They're not drawn to someone who has it all figured out. They're drawn to someone who's real, someone who's not afraid to be honest, someone who shows up as they are, flaws, scars, struggles, and all. That's what makes you magnetic. That's what makes you different. Because most folks are pretending, but when you're authentic, when you're rooted in truth, you cut through the noise. You stand out without even trying. You walk into a room and people can tell you're not performing, you're not chasing validation, you're not trying to prove something, you're just being you, and that's powerful. Let me say this loud and clear. Authenticity takes courage. It takes strength to stop performing. It takes guts to stand in your truth when the world wants you to blend in. But when you commit to it, when you decide that being real is more important than being liked, something shifts. You start attracting the right people. You start creating deeper connections because people can feel authenticity. It's not something you say, it's something you live. See, the world doesn't need another copy. It doesn't need another version of what's already out there. It needs you. It needs your voice, your style, your story. You don't have to sound like them. You don't have to look like them. You don't have to move like them. You've got something they don't. You've got you. But you've got to be bold enough to show up as that version, even if it scares you. You know what's crazy? Some of y'all are holding back the very thing that would connect you to the people you're trying to reach. You think, if I show them the real me, they'll walk away. But let me flip that. The truth is, if you don't show them the real you, they'll never trust you, because people can spot fake. People can feel when you're not being genuine. And no one connects with perfect, they connect with real. Being authentic doesn't mean you don't grow. It doesn't mean you don't evolve. It just means you're honest about where you are. It means you're not putting on a front. You're not hiding your struggles. You're not pretending to be someone you're not. You're saying, this is me and I'm still becoming. That kind of transparency, that's what breaks walls. That's what builds bridges. That's what opens hearts. And listen, when you're authentic, not everybody's going to like you. That's the price of truth. But here's what you get in return. Peace. No more pretending. No more anxiety about keeping up appearances. No more exhausting yourself trying to be someone else. Just you, living aligned, speaking from the heart, moving with integrity. And when you live like that, the people who are for you will find you. And the ones who aren't, let them go. You can't attract what's real when you're being fake. You can't form meaningful relationships when you're lying about who you are. You can't lead people if you're hiding behind a mask. So stop chasing perfect and start choosing authentic. That's where your power lives. That's where your influence grows. The truth is, most people are looking for permission to be themselves. And when they see you being real, when they see you standing in your truth, it gives them the courage to do the same. You don't even have to say anything. Just your example, just your presence, just your willingness to be vulnerable becomes a light for others who are still stuck in the dark. So if you want to be socially attractive, stop chasing the crowd. Start being you. Stop hiding your truth. Start owning your story, because nothing is more attractive than someone who knows who they are and walks in it without apology. Be real. That's your superpower.